So we're living in the age of AI, and let me tell you, the rules of truth and trust are being completely rewritten. Every single email you send, every piece of data you put out there, it's all becoming a permanent, analyzable part of your story. Today, we're going to dig into why, in this new world, having a verifiable reputation isn't just nice to have, it's pretty much everything. Okay, let's just jump right in with a question that gets to the absolute heart of this. What if AI could prove you lied? What if every little inconsistency, every slight contradiction could be flagged by an algorithm in like seconds? And listen, this isn't some sci-fi future. It's the world we are literally building as we speak. And that leads us right into our first big idea, this concept of a new era where hiding your inconsistencies is becoming, well, basically impossible. We're calling it the parallax era. In the past, it was actually kind of hard to prove someone was being dishonest. There was this thing called information friction. It just took a ton of time and effort to dig through documents and connect all the dots. But now with AI, that friction is just evaporating. So researchers have a name for this, the parallax era. Think of it like this. Every digital thing you create, a spreadsheet, a blog post, whatever, is now a single traceable point of data. And AI can look at all of those points at the same time from every angle to build this incredibly complete picture of your integrity. So the main takeaway here is huge. The siloed lie is dead. That old strategy of telling one story to your boss and a slightly different one to a client? Yeah, that's now what one source calls structurally unsustainable. It just can't hold up anymore. Now, this brings us to a really critical point. AI is a powerful, double-edged sword in this new world. It's the ultimate tool for creating lies, but it's also the ultimate tool for finding them. On one side of that sword, you've got this explosion in AI-driven crime. The FBI reported a staggering $16.6 billion in internet crime losses. That's a 30% jump in just a year, and it's largely being fueled by these super sophisticated AI scams. And just look at this. This chart shows a surge of over 1,700% in deepfake fraud attempts. That is not a typo. The very idea of being able to trust what you see with your own eyes and hear with your own ears is starting to crumble. But here's the other side of the coin. We're seeing a counter-revolution. AI-powered forensics are now light years ahead of what any human could do. They're not just looking for a glitchy video. They're analyzing metadata and checking for narrative stability across thousands of documents to find tiny inconsistencies a person would never catch. And this is already having massive real-world consequences. You might have heard about the data colada investigations that uncovered huge academic fraud scandals. The fascinating part? It wasn't some whistleblower. It was forensic analysis of Excel spreadsheets, finding weird little anomalies in the metadata that proved the numbers were faked. And what's so wild is the variety of these new tools. You've got things like the CSIAD framework, which can find logical impossibilities in a photo. You've got the data colada method for spotting fake data. And then there are tools like forensic AI that can give a document a risk score that actually holds up in court. The era of getting away with it is, well, it's ending. So this new reality of near total detection has a direct impact on something we all care about: money. Verifiable truth now has a very real price tag. For big companies, reputation isn't some fluffy, soft metric. As you can see here, research shows it can make up as much as 63% of a company's total market value. A single hit to that reputation can literally wipe out billions. And for us, as individuals, the stakes are just as high. A strong, verifiable personal brand, one that you can back up with actual proof and documentation, can command a salary that's 2 to even 10 times higher. It's a huge deal. So, why is this happening? Well, platforms like Google and LinkedIn are fighting a war against what people are calling AI slop. That generic, low-quality junk content. Their best weapon is to promote content and profiles that show real EEAT. That stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, all backed by solid evidence. Okay, so if a verifiable reputation is the new currency, how in the world do you build it and protect it in this parallax era? The answer is probably the most important strategic shift you can make right now. The principle is simple. Document everything. Seriously, this isn't just good practice anymore. In a world where any claim can be scrutinized, your documentation is the raw material of your reputation. Think of a freelance designer who meticulously archives every single client comment, or a coder who keeps a public log of all their contributions. That is the new baseline for trust. There's this really fascinating case study from Tran University that shows what this looks like when you build an entire system around this idea of verifiable proof of work. They created something they call a career credit score. So instead of just getting a static diploma at the end, students build this living, breathing digital portfolio. They document mastering specific skills, they log client feedback, and they even record their failures as learning experiments. It all builds this rich, verifiable identity before they even hit the job market. Okay, let's move into our final section, because this massive technological shift is forcing us to make a really fundamental choice about the kind of world we actually want to live in. We are all now living under what the source material calls the permanence code. And what that means is our professional history isn't just a bunch of scattered memories anymore. It's a single, permanent, and constantly updated digital file of our actions. And it's accessible to pretty much anyone with the right tools. And this is where we hit a really deep paradox. This constant pressure to be perfectly transparent can actually backfire. It can encourage a whole new kind of dishonesty, a carefully curated self-presentation that's designed to look perfect for the algorithm instead of reflecting who we really are. And this leaves us with a huge choice between two possible futures. On one hand, you have the panopticon, a world of constant surveillance and judgment by algorithm. But on the other hand, you could have the freedom factory, a world where this exact same technology empowers us with verifiable growth, personal agency, and human dignity. So, the final question you really have to ask yourself is this. In an era where everything is on the record, are you going to build a reputation that's based on documented performance, on learning, on actual growth? Or are you going to chase that impossible and maybe even dishonest goal of curated perfection? The choice really is ours to make.